All right, mathletes, it's A4.2, synthetic division. This is going to be a much faster process than our polynomial long division. It's a quicker tool, but the downside is it's only works if we are dividing by linear factors with a coefficient of 1. So if our divisor is linear terms like these, and they all have coefficients of 1, these would be appropriate divisors to divide into a polynomial. Things that are nonlinear that would not work are things like this, and also linear terms like that. We could not use synthetic division to divide out. We'd have to do it the long way through polynomial long division. So let's see how this process can speed things up. So what we're going to want to do is we want to make sure if there is not a term for that degree power, for that term we plug in a 0 for a placeholder. So we have an x cubed term, we have an x squared term. We don't have an x term, so right in here, we're going to want to make sure we put a 0x there, and then a -5. So we put the division symbol. And this works if our divisor there is x minus 3. We want to make sure we change the sign here. So if this is x minus 3, we're going to put 3 there as our divisor. So here we're going to put a 1 to represent the 1 in front of my x cubed. Then I'm going to put a -4 to represent that -4. And then I'm going to put a 0 to represent this fact that we have 0 x terms. And then I'm going to put a -5 to represent my constant terms. Now, I'm going to draw a line here. First step is always to drop down this number, and that's going to be a 1. Then whatever this number is, we're going to multiply this value by that. So 1 times 3. So 1 times 3 is 3, and then we add down. -4 plus 3 is -1. Then, again, I'm going to multiply -1 by 3, and I'm going to get -3. Add down. 0 plus -3 is -3. Again, I'm going to multiply this one by -3. -3 times 3 is -9. -5 plus -9 is -14. This is my remainder. Okay, so then what these values tell me is that when divided by x minus 3, this times x, and it's always 1 degree less than this. So this is x squared minus 1x minus 3. So these are all the coefficients that line up with those values, plus my remainder is equal to my original polynomial, which is x cubed minus 4 x squared minus 5. Okay, so let's look at another example here. So we're going to divide 4x cubed minus 6x squared plus 2 by x plus 1/2. So I notice that I don't have a x term again. Here, it's x plus 1/2, so I'm going to divide by -1/2, put in my division symbol, and I get a 4 for my x cubed term. My squared term, I get a -6. My x term is a 0, and my constant is a 2. So then again, drop down my first term, it's 4. And then I'm going to multiply by -1/2. Okay, so 4 times -1/2 is going to be -2. -6 plus -2 is -8. So then again, I'm going to take this. I'm going to remember to multiply -8 by -1/2. So that's going to change it to positive 4. 0 plus 4 is 4. Now take 4, multiply it by negative 1/2, and I'm going to get negative 2. 2 plus negative 2 is 0. So this tells me that x plus 1/2 times 4x squared minus 8x plus 4 is equal to 4x cubed minus 6x squared plus 2. I didn't have to add a remainder because it was 0. So we'll see here that if you get a remainder of 0, that can tell you that your term is a factor of that given polynomial. So we know that x plus 1/2 is a factor of this polynomial, 4x cubed minus 6x squared plus 2. So sometimes we'll be wanting to just determine if something's a factor. We don't care about the products and what it actually divides into. We're just searching to see if that remainder is 0. So here in our last example, we got x minus 3. Determine if it's a factor of 2x to the 6. I notice that there's no x to the 5th term, so I'm going to remind myself that there's 0x to the 5th. 4th, no x to the 3rd term. There's a squared term. There's no linear term. And then our constant. Okay, so as I set this up, I change the sign of this, so that's just going to be a 3, and I get 2, 0, negative 18, 0, 1, 0, and negative 9. So start this process, dropping down our 2, and I get a 2 there, and then I'm going to multiply by 3, and 2 times 3 is 6. 0 plus 6 is 6. And then I'm going to multiply by 3 again, and then I'm going to get 18. Negative 18 plus 18 is 0. Take 0, multiply it by 3, and I get 0. Add 0, I get 0. Multiply 0 by 3, and I get 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. I multiply that by 3. And then I get 1 times 3 is 3. 0 plus 3 is 3. Then again, I multiply by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Negative 9 plus 9 is 0. My last value is a 0. Then I know that x minus 3 is a factor of the above polynomial. All right, that concludes the notes tonight. Make sure you highlight any questions and bring them to class tomorrow.